Hello friends, Mandar here. I'm back with another video. Today we'll talk about some of the important topics if you are going through the green card process, especially about the interview tips because they are happening more and more. We'll also talk about what are the do's and don'ts in your visa application. Also interviews at the consulates. We'll talk about the topic that keeps coming more and more, which is denaturalization and revocation of the green cards. We'll talk about the pitfalls for EB1A. And finally, we'll talk about the remittance tax that was part of the big beautiful bill. So a lot of important topic, guys. Watch this video until the end and let's get started. If you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Mandar and I make immigration and lifestyle related videos for US and Canada. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so anything that I say on this video or on my channel is for information purpose only. And for your specific immigration needs, before you take any action, you should hire a competent immigration lawyer. Now check out the links in the description because those are affiliate links, especially that with the Ultra Human Ring, you will find the discount codes. Because this month, if you use my code, which is Mandar10, you will actually get 15% discount on your Ultra Human Ring. Also don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe button because that greatly keeps me motivated and spreads out this video to even more audience. So I would appreciate that. Now let's start with the first topic of today, which is the interview tips. Now interview at the consulates, which is by the Department of State. Now every consulate has its own requirements, but there are some certain requirements that you have to fulfill as they are common across the board, such as filling out the DS-160 form completely. Now I have made several videos on it. People leave out information on the DS-160, which is not a good idea. There are actually 4 types of slips that you might get, which will put you into the administrative processing, which is also called 221G. Now, depending on what the problem is, the most common problem is the missing information on the DS-160. So people think that just by avoiding to put some of the information that they think might challenge their case, it will be okay. But it is not. USCIS has most of the information in front of them, and if you omit some information on your DS-160, they just become more suspicious, and that puts you into the administrative processing, which is unnecessary. So if you have been denied visa, if you have been looking at different other visas, if you have filed a green card petition, and those are the questions that are part of the DS-160, you should answer them truthfully. Even dates for your jobs, dates for your visits to the United States, and so on. Be truthful in every part of the application. Don't miss out any information on DS-160 and you will drastically reduce your chance of getting that 221G, which is administrative processing. It is unfortunate that these silly things or technical things hold off your application, but that just brings added stress. So if you can avoid it in the first place, that's absolutely necessary. Now let's look at the green card interview tips. Now, in the past, typically the green card interviews are very common for marriage-based petitions or family-based petitions. Now, marriage-based petitions, usually the green card interviews happen in the United States. Family-based petitions usually happen outside of the United States at the consulates. So there are some nuances in those two. But typically, for employment green cards, not all people get interviewed. Not all applicants get interviewed. Only less than 15% of the applicants were interviewed in the past, but that percentage now is creeping up and up, especially for the EB1 category and also for EB2 and EB3. Now I have made special video on the interview tips for employment-based green card, but here are few that you may find important. First thing is you should carry all the originals with you, such as your birth certificate and your marriage certificate. If you have degree certificates, those are also fine. And carry 1 copy of photocopy of each document, just in case it's asked. Okay. Now second is most important, which is fully review your petition. Petition in the sense I-140 and 485, most importantly 485. There are lot of questions on 485 that you have to memorize literally because it may have been a long time since your form had been submitted to the USCIS because your date was not current and you may have forgotten some answers, and that is the trick. USCIS goes through each and every question on form I-485 and cross checks it with you by asking you verbally. Now if you give a different answer than what was submitted on your form 485, that will cause suspicion with the USCIS office. They will think that the information is inconsistent with what was provided, and that will cause some problems.
And that brings me to the sponsor of today's video. Have you ever done the Google search of your own name? Look what I have found when I did mine. Here's what comes up. While some of this information is relevant, the other makes me uncomfortable that my information is exposed for a sale like this. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, or anybody else who may want to target you. Your full name, email address, home address, your relatives' names, health information, it's all out there. That's why I have been using Aura, sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out request for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use this information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. Aura does so much more to protect my information and my family's information from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up, and best of all, I get everything for one affordable price. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like locking the front door but leaving your back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping me safe so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to my link which is on the screen and in the description and start your free 2 weeks trial. So protect your information, your family, and have a peace of mind. That's Aura.
So be sure to review your originally submitted 485 and make sure that you understand all the answers. Memorize if you are applying as a family, do mock interviews with each other. Try to remember all the nuances that you have submitted in I-485. Now, what are the most important things? Your travel dates. When you went outside of the United States and when you came in, to which country did you visit? Your employment date, start date, end date. Even if they are not to the dot, it should at least be within the same month of the year. Now here is the tricky thing. Because these visa officers are so used to doing marriage-based interviews, they also bring those questions into the employment-based category, such as they will ask you about your mother-in-law's name or mother-in-law's date of birth, and that is a tricky question. They just want to know that whether you know your spouse and her family enough just to establish the fact that you have been married and living together. So those are the kind of things that you might want to keep in mind. I have also seen some of the interviews, even in employment-based section, people have shared that where did you meet your spouse, which year did you meet, where did you meet, and so on. So that's kind of funny. Now another thing in the interview is be truthful about your past. Okay, so if you had any travel days, if the visa officer says, have you ever done any violation, traffic violation, or got arrested or anything, even if it was dismissed, even if the charges were dismissed, you should be truthful. You should say, yes, I was, and the charges were dropped, or whatever was the parking violation, you paid in full. Or if you had a DUI, you should say that the case was dismissed. Be truthful about your past denials of your petitions. If you are ever denied of H1B, L1 or a visitor visa, you should mention that, however long back it was, because they can see all this information in front of them. All they are doing is cross-verifying it with you so that they can see if you are truthful. All they are trying to do is find a reason to delay your case or deny your case. So don't fall into that trap. Another thing is be truthful about your visa overstays. If you ever had a visa overstay, if they ask you whether you had it, and if you had it, be truthful and tell them that it was just for 15 days and I did not know about it, or I was just waiting for my change of status. So be truthful about it because they already know. So these are the things that you should keep in mind when you are called for an interview. Now I want to give some tips about EB1A. A lot of people are contacting me and I'm giving them my advice regarding EB1A petition. I'm also doing the master classes. In the last several weeks, I have come across several people who have asked me to review their petition, and I was so surprised with the horrendous nature of that petition. Initially, some of these so-called consultants are building petitions that are 300, 500, even 1,000 pages long petitions, and they are filled with fraudulent information. That is filled with awards and recognitions and certifications that they have got from agencies, some publications, and that all within a short period of time. Now, anybody who is reading the petition, if they are patient enough to go through 300 pages, they will be suspicious of it. It's no doubt. So don't fall into those traps. Don't fall into the traps of those consultants. I will not name any consultant here, but those are there. Everybody knows who they are. They charge a fee. They create evidences on your behalf. And I don't think that is a good idea. Especially in this environment, in this administration, you are calling for trouble if you go that path. EB1A is your effort. Be truthful about your experience. Be truthful about how you can represent yourself as an expert in your area, and that way you will have far more chances of success than going through a consultant. Now, if you once you have done your homework and if you just want to kind of file the petition, you can go through a competent immigration lawyer. You must go through a competent immigration lawyer for filing your case. So that is going to be my another advice. Now, a lot of talk about denaturalization. Now, I will tell you one thing. Denaturalization is extremely difficult from the USCIS and government's perspective. The onus is on them because nobody is going to go and do their own denaturalization. So the onus is entirely on them, and it is extremely hard for them, extremely expensive for them. So there are only handful of cases that are that happened in denaturalization, and it is nothing new about this current administration. Every administration, including last administration, had denaturalization cases. Now, there was a memo issued by Department of Justice just a few weeks back about denaturalization. Here is it on the screen. To all civil division employees, civil division enforcement priorities. President Trump and Attorney General Bondi have directed the civil division to use its enforcement authorities to advance the administration's policy objectives. This memorandum describes those policy objectives that directs civil division attorneys to prioritize investigations and enforcement actions advancing these priorities, combating discriminatory practices and policies, ending anti-Semitism, protecting women and children, ending sanctuary jurisdictions, prioritizing denaturalization. So these are the points that they have come across. Now let's look at what is denaturalization. The Department of Justice may institute civil proceedings to revoke persons' US citizenship if an individual either illegally procured naturalization or procured naturalization by concealment of material fact or by willful misrepresentation. So these are the key things that you need to remember. If you have misrepresented yourself, concealed information in order to get to US citizenship, then you are at risk of denaturalization. The benefits of civil denaturalization include the government's ability to revoke the citizenship of individuals who engaged in the commission of war crimes, extrajudicial killings, or other serious human rights abuse, to remove naturalized citizens, gang members, or indeed any individual convicted of crimes who pose an ongoing threat to the United States, and to prevent convicted terrorists from returning to the United States soil or traveling internationally on a US passport. At a fundamental level, it also supports overall integrity of naturalization program by ensuring that those who have unlawfully procured citizenship, including those who obtained it through fraud or concealment of material information, do not maintain the benefits of unlawful procurement. So there are a lot of cases that they have, like cases against individuals who pose potential danger, cases against individuals who engage in torture, war crimes, cases against individuals who further the unlawful enterprise of criminal gangs, then felonies that were not disclosed, committed human trafficking, sex offenses, and so on. So there are a lot of categories in here, and you can pause the screen and read them out. But this is something that you may have done before you were naturalized. So if you had concealed the fact that you were part of any of these groups during the naturalization process, then you may be in trouble, and you may be a candidate for denaturalization. So there are a lot of this. So I will keep a link in the description for this. You may want to go through it, but that's what about it. But if you don't have any of these, you don't need to worry about it, because denaturalization is a lengthy process. It's extremely expensive for government, and you have to have one of those grounds to be denaturalized. So that's the clarification that I wanted to make. Now, green cards is a different story, because green card is you still are not a US citizen, so you are at a higher level of risk if you have done anything in the past, concealed information or misrepresented to get a green card. Then your green card may be revoked, and even if you continue to do, unlike naturalized US citizen, if you do things that are unlawful after getting a green card, even then you are at a risk of losing your green card. So keep that in mind. Now, some of the quick other things that I also covered in my past couple of videos is what are the impacts of Big Beautiful Bill. Now, Big Beautiful Bill has brought in a lot of funding for Department of Homeland Security and Border and ICE. Now, there are going to be a lot more agents doing enforcement activity of people who break the law. So if you are breaking the law, you are at risk, because there are more people now looking for such people. So that is one. Extreme vetting is going to be a norm going forward. The full force of extreme vetting hasn't come into effect yet. So if you have any petitions pending, such as applying for a green card renewal or naturalization, do it now, because things are only going to get worse for those people. And then one topic that I wanted to cover, but I think I will cover it in my next video, is remittance tax. Now, it was reduced from 5% to 1%. And also there are a lot of exceptions, like green card holders and US citizens don't have to pay this tax. Only people who are on visa and follow the right approach, they may be able to avoid this tax. Otherwise, there is a 1% remittance tax to all the money that non-immigrants are going to send back to their home country. Now, if you wanted my opinion in your situation, look for the Calendly link in the description and contact me. I can spend 30 minutes with you to give you my perspective, what I would do if I were in your situation. So, and if you want to attend my next masterclass, by the way, I had a masterclass today and it was a huge success. If you want to attend my next masterclass, look for the link in the description. And if you like the content of this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.